This story came out of nowhere. I truly wasn't expecting any of this. I've had creepy people and weird things happen, but generally speaking, I'm aware of my surroundings and don't have many issues. I had just broken up with a boyfriend, moved back home for the summer until school was starting back up that fall. I got full-time work at the gas station a mile from my parents' house and goofed off with my hometown friends. That was my summer plan, and things were going quite well for the first month. I never really realized how many creeps come into the gas station, and we were in a fairly nice suburban area. We, of course, had our regulars, and one of them, a late 30s guy, started to intentionally wait in my longer line to be checked out and various things like that. Looking back, I was a bit oblivious, a 21-year-old girl that, due to a previous abusive relationship, I did not see myself as fairly attractive. I just thought these guys were really friendly and nice. So first he starts only coming to my register, then suddenly I would see him a few times a shift. I noticed he would always seem very polite, well-mannered, never really giving out skeevy vibes. He had a couple of tween daughters that would be with him here and there, which made him seem harmless to me. Generally, I worked early morning shifts but flipped to later shifts, as I have always been a night owl, getting maybe a couple of hours of sleep before I had to go in. When that happened, this creep was upset with me that he wasn't as able to come in to see me because he worked the second shift. At this point, I was actively avoiding him, stocking the cooler if I saw him pull up, etc. He started to come when I would get off work, and I would delay myself until he left. Then I started getting notes and flowers on my car, until one night I'm walking out to my vehicle and he popped up from behind it. I backed up, told him I was not interested at all. He assured me that he would woo me to change my mind. I switched schedules, working nights, days, mornings all over the place so that my schedule wasn't predictable. I'm working one afternoon when up comes this batshit crazy woman with two younger girls. So she starts asking her daughters if this is the girl, to which they replied yes. The maniac woman screams and threatens me to stay away from her husband, and I'm like, whoa lady, I have no idea what you're talking about. Apparently the psycho stalker man is married and had been telling his wife he has a young hot gas station girlfriend that's moving in and blah blah blah. This lady is nuts. Her daughters look super embarrassed, and she was not leaving the gas station. The store owner watching on video from the back called the cops, and the lady was told to leave. At the time I was dating, going out on a few dates, and this one handsome fella started coming up to make sure when I left at night this guy wasn't going to pop out again. Normally at nights we had two people, but the other girl had called in. I have no idea how creepy stalker man noticed, but he slipped in 10 minutes to close and just kept me company while I was doing nightly closing activities. He was making comments about how no girl should be here alone late at night like this. Why won't I just give him a chance? He will move me in, buy me a car, all kinds of creeperisms. I told him no thank you. Your wife wasn't too keen on this either. This guy flew into a rage, knocked over a display, started screaming at me, "What did you tell her?" all crazy man style. At this point I'm trapped inside a gas station after close, but I don't dare go out to the parking lot where I park my car is off to the side at the back of the store. It's dark and obviously my stalker friend will follow. Thank goodness my handsome fella happened to be coming home from work and noticed my car still at the gas station and came to check on me. As soon as he came to the door he could see my panic and off took creeper storming away into the night. The handsome fella helped me pick up the display mess, sat with me until I stopped shaking and encouraged me to quit the gas station pronto. We called the police. It's a small town and he was easily found with his white Kia driving erratically. The officer followed up with me. He had a knife, rope, and duct tape. At about 8 p.m. last night, I was walking with a friend of mine, Sally, about a mile to the closest cafe. We're both girls in our early 20s. Neither of us owns cars. Sally didn't have her Opal card, which is basically an automatic ticketing system for public transport, so walking was our only option. It's summer over here, so it was still fairly well lit, and we were walking down main roads, so we weren't too concerned. We finally arrive at this cafe and sit down. I was paying, but I only had my credit card, and sure enough, it was cash only. Sally was on the phone when I got back from the counter, so I just gestured for her to stay put and guard the spot while I went to get cash out. This is my home suburb, so I know there are no ATMs around, and my best bet is a gas station about a block away. I'm doing a light jog so I don't keep Sally waiting when a balding, sweating guy, probably in his late 40s with a tank top and no shoes, comes pacing behind me as I pass the corner of the block. He walked behind me for about 100 meters. I didn't really think much of it. The gas station was the next building along. It seemed like he had just come out of a nice suburban house along the street, and it wasn't the witching hour, so I just assumed he was going to the station like me. He didn't even cross my mind as I entered the tiny convenience store, nor did he follow me in. In my peripheral, I saw him walk past the door and out of sight. I looked around for an ATM. They sometimes have inside. No such luck. So I go up to this man in his 30s at the desk and reluctantly ask if they're able to do cash out. He smiles and says, "Of course," and then asks, "Is he with you?" I have no idea who he's talking about at first, and then he points to the man from earlier, pacing around outside the store. Keep in mind, he didn't look at all menacing. He wasn't going back and forth just outside the door. He was drifting in the space outside, from the pavement to the gas pumps to the storefront seemingly aimlessly. I assumed he was on drugs. I tell the clerk no, not thinking much of it at all. He says, "Oh, he was staring at you before. I thought he might have been your dad." I laugh it off. I honestly wasn't concerned at all. He was still ambling around outside, and I couldn't imagine him having a fixed gaze on anything. I thank the clerk for the cash, but before I turn away to leave, he says, "Just wait and see if he leaves first." We wait for a few minutes in silence, and the guy begins to pace back and forth directly against the front wall of the store, looking straight ahead and never into the store. It still looked like the man was just on a drug-induced amble and seemed harmless. Not once did I catch his gaze, so I figured it would be safe to just slip out the door and walk back to the cafe in the fairly bright light of dusk, especially since Sally was texting me at this point asking, "Where are you?" I thank the guy at the desk once again for his concern, assure him that I don't know the guy and am not involved in some weird scheme to rob the store, and head for the door. The clerk asks if I want him to walk out with me. I say that I should be all right and begin walking away from the block. As I leave the store, the drifting man stops pacing and makes a beeline for me from the other end of the building. I seriously didn't think much of the guy at all up until this point, but for the first time, he was briskly walking in a straight line towards me. The hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and I start power walking so that he doesn't think I'm actively trying to escape him, still trying to convince myself that I'm just being paranoid and should be more casual. I don't look behind me to see how close he is. I've reached the pavement on the other side of the gas pumps when I hear the clerk run outside. He's yelling at me, "Go! Run! Run!" I make a break for it, looking over my shoulder. He's grabbed the man by his shoulders from behind. The balding man isn't even glancing behind him or trying to escape. He's just watching me run away. That's pretty much the end of the story, folks. I keep running until I've crossed the road and then turn around, standing still. The clerk is still just holding on to the odd, staring man. The clerk and I are just looking at each other in bewilderment, not really knowing what to do. He makes a hand gesture to go, and I gesture my thanks. You know, the clasp your hands together and shake them a bunch of times. I got back to Sally with the cash and bought food before walking back home a different way. I am a college freshman in the South. I am also a female. Before I begin this story, I'd like to give a description of myself. I am a short, chubby black female. When I say short, I'd believe I am just underneath average height, 5'4". Anyway, my college was across the street from a rundown gas station where I happened to work. On a night that I was working, my boss left me alone for that night because he hadn't gotten any sleep, or so that is what he said, but it was a pretty slow day. There wasn't a specific reason why it was slow, it just was. Anyway, I was playing Geometry Dash on my phone as I sat behind the counter. It wasn't a counter with the thick glass and speaking tube, it was just a regular counter. As I played my game, I heard the door open with the little chime from the bells. I looked up to see a man, about average height and very skinny, but for some reason a little intimidating. I was never the one to be afraid of anyone, so when I say he was intimidating, he was. He was balding with a little comb over. He had on a dingy white t-shirt with holes and dad jeans that were caked in a dark red substance and mud. He seemed as if he had just gone hunting, but I'm not sure. He looked at me. His eyes were hollow and empty, but still, I smiled. "Hello, how are you?" Common Southern hospitality. He muttered something. I couldn't hear him, and went to the back of the store. I watched him for a while before I eventually had gotten bored and went back to my game. After about a minute of aggravation, I clicked off the game and went to scroll down Instagram. When I glanced up, he was standing behind the aisle just watching me. Upon reflex, I put my head back down looking at my phone. but something told me to look back up. When I did, he was standing at the counter holding gummy worms and a beer. "Did you find everything okay, sir?" I say, a little startled, but I was okay. He didn't say anything. He just dug through his pockets and pulled out a dirty $10 bill. "The total is 5.68, I say, as I grabbed the money, smiling at him. After I handed him back his change, out of nowhere he shouts, "I hate all you and words, you and the damn wetbacks." Taken back by his comment, I couldn't say anything. I was just stunned. "Oh, you don't got nothing to say, huh? You and words always have something to say. Never know when to shut your damn mouths. I swear to God, if I could hang you, I would." I gasped and was about to tell him to get his fucking worms and can of spit and get the fuck out. I call beers a can of spit with pennies in it because that's what it tastes like. But a few college guys burst through the damn door, alerting the both of us. He grabbed his shit and walked out. Luckily, I knew one of the college students was someone that I had known. "Hey there," he smiled, bringing me some Doritos and an Arizona iced tea. I guess the look on my face gave him an idea of how I was feeling. "You okay?" he asked. I shook my head. "No. That man that walked out said he wished he could hang me. He started off with these racist comments. I didn't even do anything." I told him. I wasn't crying. I was just really mad. My friend asked me if he should go look for him, and I told him no. "I'll be fine," I assured him. He nodded, and he asked for a pen and paper. I ripped a piece of receipt paper off and handed him the counter pen. "Okay, call me if you need me," he says, writing his phone number down. His other friends came around with a bunch of food, and after that, they were on their way. After about 2 hours or so, my boss and another coworker came in, which means that I was off. I gathered my things, forgetting about the whole incident, and told them good day. I left and began my journey across the street. After about a good mile or so, I heard someone yell, "Hey sir, is there a reason for you to be here tonight?" I looked back to see campus security talking to a lanky man. My eyes began to focus into the darkness when I noticed it was the racist guy from the station. His eyes were locked on me, and it made me even more uncomfortable. He didn't respond, which made it menacing enough for me to leave. I began to walk quicker to my dorm and just forget about the whole thing. He was caught. I was okay. Nothing else happened. The next day in the Union Center, I was doing some homework at a table and listening to some music when the guy that I know sat down. "Hey, so I'm glad you made it back okay." He smiles. I nodded. "Yeah, thanks." He sighs. "Because they found some guy on campus last night with a pistol and a hunting knife." My stomach dropped when he said that. He was this skinny white man. He kept mumbling some pretty racist shit under his breath, so I thought that was the guy that you told me about last night. He finished. I told him that I think that it was, and that he was following me back to my dorm last night. As I thought, he was also stunned for words.